What's cracking, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. New video. Today, we're going to talk about what I had brought up briefly yesterday. Before I do that, there's a couple things I want to say. Let's start with Food and Fallons. Everybody, please tune in to Food and Fallons this morning. He just dropped a video earlier at Rollin' Rick's barbecue spot in Vegas. I think that's the name of it. That's Rick from Pawn Stars. He's a friend of Big Figs, a friend of Food and Fallons, and he went over there and tested out their barbecue, and he has his results for that place. Secondly, this is very funny to me, may not be funny to you, definitely won't be funny to some. So yesterday's video, thank you guys very much for the support of that video. In yesterday's video, I said what I've said before, and I said other people may disagree with me, but I don't understand why the feelings get hurt. And what I'm talking about is when I said that, in my opinion, the Raza from Southern California have it the hardest in the state. The way they play their politics, how cutthroat their politics are, the fact that, give you an example, I talked about this before. I had a camarada of mine from Barrio Van Nuys. We were in Hawaii together. We ran back into each other in Pelican Bay coming out the shoe. He asked me, "Hey, homie, have you been to High Desert yet?" I said, "Nah, not yet." He said, "Man, that motherfucker's crazy." He said, "I got there." He goes, "I slid my 128. He goes, "Homies came out. They slid me a pedazo and just walked off." He goes, "And I waited for them to come back out of the shower. When they did, I said, 'Hey, Holmes, you didn't let me know who this is for.'" And he said, "The homies told me if anybody gets on the tier with you and they're not a homie, whack them." So, I don't know any other group that goes at it with the entire institution. I mean, they were going at it with the others, the blacks, the whites, all at the same time. And there's still going to be the internal politicking. So, I don't know. People talking about, you guys always have the numbers. We're always outnumbered by the blacks. We were always outnumbered by the blacks. So, yeah, the Raza from Southern California outnumber all the other Raza factions. That's a fact. But in places where they didn't, like when we were in YA, nobody brings that up. Motherfuckers were still doing their thing. And this isn't a competition. That shit is all old. Who gives a fuck? I don't ever go into details of shit that went down, because I respect both sides. I don't talk about shit that I personally saw that would hurt people's feelings. People that I know, that names that people know, that they look up to, that in order to sell their dope, we're kicking into the Southerners. I mean, there's a lot of shit I could talk about and I just don't. You know what I mean? And I do it out of respect, because none of that means shit. But for people to have a disagreement and say, "No, you know what? I think the Northerners have it." That's cool. That's a difference of opinion, and I get that. But to have your feelings hurt, and then to have people in the comments talking about you always hating on Fresno. I've always showed love to Fresno. I show love to everybody. I show respect more than anything to everyone. I was schooled in there. I never used the terms, that are derogatory towards blacks or Northerners, bulldogs, because I was schooled. That's South soldiering shit. You want to disrespect somebody, you disrespect them with your hands. Anyhow, let's get into the video today. So, what I wanted to talk about today is the difference in war when it comes to the Southern Raza, how they deal with other Raza factions, and how they function when it comes to the blacks. Because I think people have a huge misunderstanding, especially people that never been to prison, or people that maybe were on level 1s and level 2s. They hear about the warfare, the shit that went on, back in the days. And I think they have a very misconstrued reality. So I've been on the yard with Northerners several times, New Folsom and Pelican Bay, right? and witnessed skirmishes, right? And so I want to say this. Let's just do it like this. And I can even go into the way it's handled with the whites as well. You know what I'm saying? Because unlike what people like to say and put out there, I can tell you that throughout my whole prison term, I think the Raza from Southern California had more run-ins with whites than Northerners. And the reason why is because they're on the yard with whites everywhere. They weren't on the yard with Northerners everywhere. So obviously there's going to be more skirmishes. But people always say the whites and the Southerners, you know, they're allied and that they're connected at the hip. Believe me, there's been a lot of bloodshed on both sides. It's just not, they're never going to be, they weren't, well, I can't say that. They were never looked at. And I don't think the Raza from Southern California, in their eyes, was ever looked at as an enemy. It was, shit happens. I always say, it's business, it's not personal, you know? Now, in my experience, things that I saw, as far as the Raza from Southern California, how they viewed beefing with the Raza from Northern California, I want to preface it with this. I want to make this completely clear. I feel I was blessed to be laced up, schooled by the vatos that I was schooled by. I believe that it fell in line with my character, whereas I've never been a snake. I've never tried to railroad anybody. And I had Raza, I had older vatos, legends in the shoe when I got to the shoe, that were more about business. And, you know, I had the story, I told the story about the Northern Raza and the blacks as far as the weight pile. And my Sally said, hey, I need 12 vatos to roll down there with me right now. 13 of us went down there strapped up to assist the Northern Raza to make sure that the blacks didn't move on them or try to bully them over the weights. There's not a lot of vatos that could tell a story like that. I understand that. But I say that to say this. Being on the yard with Northerners, I only remember one. I only remember one vato, once. And he's from the 805 too. He's from Camarillo. I only remember one vato that hated the Northerners. Everyone else, I never heard them like hate them. There was no animosity. I know on the other side it was different because they were bred to have hatred, which is a good thing because they had smaller numbers and you have to have your people working with a certain mindset and way of feeling in their heart. I get it. But as far as the Raza from Southern California, you guys have heard it a lot. On the streets, we gangbang. There's no fucking, you know, Southern love and all that down south. No. Up north, you guys are beefing with the vatos that call themselves upstaters. I've never, you know, I don't, but I'll respect the term they're calling themselves now. So I get it. But again, I only met one vato ever from Southern California that had righteous hate in his heart for them. And I'm going to tell you why, because he was a victim. The Raza from Northern California whacked the shit out of him in a day room somewhere. I don't remember which prison. He told me they whacked the shit out of me, homie. Fuck them dudes. And that's been my experience where I, you know, whenever I've been in ad segs and stuff, and there's certain groups that, you know, woof out the door, and, you know, in my mind, it was always that vato's been a victim. You're only gonna have that type of animosity if you were a victim. Getting back, you know, you guys know me. I can ramble on. So when I've seen where there was a disagreement or something, and it was Southern Raza and Northern Raza, I personally never saw where it was send everybody. It was not like that. It was hit that vato and see how they react. Hit that vato right there. He wants to be the mouthpiece. Because it was always, there was a certain group of they know who they are, and those that know. It was, if you know he's that, whack him. If one decided that they were going to, step up and make themselves the mouthpiece, doesn't mean they were the one in charge. But if they chose to be the mouthpiece when there was a disagreement, hit that one. So it was never, and that's why I trip when people say, oh, well, the Raza from Southern California has the numbers. Of course they did. When it comes to Northerners or Bulldogs or Paisas, of course, yeah, that's true. And so imagine if there was an incident and there's 100 vatos from Southern California on the yard and there's 20 from Northern California. And they say, everyone's going. What the hell you think's going to happen? It's going to be a massacre. They're going to fight. Of course they're going to fight. They're Raza. They definitely are going to be armed. They're going to see it. Everybody sees when something's building up. It's rare when somebody doesn't see people grouping up, doesn't hear the yard get quiet, and doesn't feel the hate in the air, the tension. And Raza from Northern California, they got security. They're always doing head counts. They're very strict when it comes to that shit, right? So they would be ready. They would have their weapons. But imagine if 150 dudes jump on 20. Never saw it. Never saw it. Now, same thing when the Raza were getting into with the whites. It was the same thing. You sent a crew. You send a crew. You might have a specific target. You might have 3 or 4 targets you want to hit at the same time. You send a crew. And that has always been what I saw, what I've been a part of. Now, when it came to dealing with the blacks, it was completely different. When it came to dealing with the blacks, because again, I don't care what anybody says, and I'm willing to bring, there's a CO that I know that I did time in a prison where he was a CO. He was on 16 to Life on Chill's channel. I'm willing to interview him. He's willing to do the interview. He can tell you if Raza was outnumbered. And so when Raza's outnumbered, they don't have time to say, let's send a crew. Because when the Raza engage in warfare with the blacks, they go after everybody. They go after Crips, Bloods, Kumis, the non-affiliates, everything. And they also will tell the Christians, if you're Raza and you're out there and you ain't getting off, that's your ass. Because of being outnumbered. Everybody's expected to perform. And I know that may come as a shock to some. Some of you out there that watch, I know Preacher Man, I know he's a Christian. I got a lot of Christians that watch me too. And the thing is, you're not expected, as a Christian, you're not expected to use a weapon. But you are expected if there's a Southerner near you and he's got 3 or 4 dudes on him and he's fighting for his life and you're nearby and you don't react and you don't help that man, then you will be targeted. Brown has to support Brown and in a war that big. I also know that, when it comes to beefing, when it comes to the blacks, again, because there's so many of them, because they're so big, they have a physical advantage. If you had, put it like this, in the Pelican Bay riot, and people, how do you know? And I laugh when people ask, how do you know? So there was 120 blacks and 120 Mexicans, Southern Mexicans, on the yard that day. And people, how do you know? Because they handcuffed everybody on the yard. Everybody got a 115. They got everybody's ID. It's pretty fucking simple, right? But give you an example. So the blacks weren't armed that day. Only one dude. He's from Southside Chiques. No. He was from Surtown, Chiques. Got poked right here with a plastic piece. And he pulled the plastic, went in about that deep and broke. And he pulled it out. That was the only one that got hit by a black. Other vatos got hit in friendly fire. Vatos trying to grab somebody and somebody stabs somebody in the hand, or somebody moves and somebody hits somebody and, across the forehead. My camarada got hit across the forehead by another homie. But there was 120 vatos from Southern California on the yard during the riot in Pelican Bay. And the officers were able to find, remember, they're not going to find everything. They were able to locate 88 knives. And that's another thing. When the Raza from Southern California move on the blacks, you can be sure 95%, if not 100%, are going to have a knife on them that day, and they're going to use it. They're not for show. You know, and again, this is nothing to brag about. This is the difference in how war is conducted in there. You know, it was different when Raza was moving on Raza. Now, I know on the other hand, when the Northerners are going to move because of their numbers, a lot of them move. And I can tell you this, the others, check this out. The others, I remember an incident that happened 2004 maybe. And I'm on the yard, and there was only a few of us out there, yard crew, right? 6 of us. And I noticed all of the others were out there. All of them. All of the islanders, all of the Asians. And I was like, what the fuck? And then I noticed them grouping up, right? And I asked one of the homies, hey, Holmes, who are they tripping on? This dummy says, I think us. I said, what? And I knew the shot caller. And I almost said his name. I almost did a Wes Watson right there. He was a cool motherfucker out of Orange County. And I said, man, I didn't even strap up. I told the homie, stay right here, Holmes. And they were on the weight pile. There's no more weights, but still where the weight pile was, right there where the basketball court is, C facility, New Folsom. And I walked over to him. I said, hey, homie, can I holler at you? He was like, yeah, what's up? And I could see the tension in him, right? I said, what you tripping on, eh? I said, I see all you guys, every one of you's out here. You know what I'm saying? Like, what's cracking? But I did tell the homies to go around the chow halls and tell the homies, all the kitchen workers, to slide out when the truck comes through. And they started coming out, and they came out strapped. But I wanted to show this dude a little respect, not go up to him strapped up. And I was like, what's up, man? And he told me what it was, and it was a nothing. It was a non-factor issue. Somebody said something that somebody didn't like. When I heard what it was, they were right. I said, man, hold up on me. I said, we fucking gamble together every fucking day. You and I talk to each other every day. We've always had a good rapport, right? And he's like, yeah. I said, why didn't you get at me? Why you bring all your people out here? And he's like, nah, hey, we're good, Holmes. Hey, you said you're going to take care of it. I said, I got you. I went over there, talked to who needed a tongue lashing, and it was done. But every one of the others was about to get off that day. They were, which is smart. Which is fucking smart. They knew, shit, how many did we, there was probably about 130 vatos from Southern California on that yard. So why would these dudes, probably 30 deep, 35 deep at the most, why would they send a crew of 5 or 6 and then have to deal with what comes next? Regardless how big and strong they are, which you know them Islanders, man, those motherfuckers are strong. But why would they stick around and do that tier warfare shit? That shit is no fun. That's the worst thing. I've said it before. I'll say it again. When there's a riot, you want to be on the first wave. You want to be out there on the yard, getting your money, go to the shoe, eat your motherfucking Zuzus and Wham Whams and watch ESPN, because we had ESPN and BET up there at the time, right? But if you're not on that first wave, you're on the tier. You're in the shower, strapped. You go to medical, strap. You do that door opens for any reason. You fly out that bitch strapped. The cops are going to start dumping. Your enemy is going to be armed. And it's a battle. It's no fun. Prison is not fun. You know, anybody taking offense to an opinion that I have regarding a prison, look at Holmes, you're right, eh? You're right. Whatever you believe, you're right, homie. Because at the end of the day, prison don't mean shit. I don't know why people get bent out of shape, man, when I'm trying to just give my opinion. I'm trying to give insight into how treacherous it is and how it is. There's no success. There's no success stories in being a gangster, being a gang member, being a convict. There's no success stories. It's a fucking failure of life. It's a lesson in horrible decision making. It's a lesson in misery. Everybody in there wishes they could be out here with us. Everybody in there wishes they could be with their lady, with their kids. They don't give a fuck about, who's harder on the yard and who's not. I don't either. I have an opinion on who has it rougher. But like I said, I don't talk about shit that I personally saw that would hurt feelings. For what? That would be glamorizing some shit. I don't glamorize none of that. But anyways, that's my video for the day. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you did, do me a favor, share the video, like the video, leave a comment. We're going for 1,000 likes on this video. That's gonna be my new thing till we can get the channel back up and running. Let's try to get 1,000. When I went for 2, we missed it. When I went for 1, I'm pretty sure we got it. And I appreciate you guys very much. Thank you for all the support you've been showing. Everybody, please be safe, be smart, and tell the ones you love that you love them. I'm out.